back to another interesting tutorial in this draping moulage series training. So right here you can see we want to embark on another wrapper illusion. I just want to show you how I made this beautiful dress you are seeing right here. So here I have 2 yards of beaded lace. So you can see beaded lace are very expensive. Okay, so I'll be sharing with you the tips and tricks to making a beaded lace without consuming too many beaded lace to it, and you still come out with a very beautiful wrapper illusion dress. So I have 2 yards of beaded lace and I have 3 yards of this is organdy, shiny organdy. Okay, so it actually matches with my beaded lace. That was why I have to choose this beautiful organdy. So it has a shiny effect. So when you are choosing your fabric, you need to get a fabric that has a very beautiful effect like this one. You can see how it looks right here. Very beautiful, right? So 3 yards, you can use dollface, satin, you can use any fabric of your choice for this, but I choose to go with a shiny organdy fabric. These are my lining. So this is the lining for the skirt part and this is the lining for the blouse part. So out of these 3 yards, I'm going to make both my skirt and the bodies of this dress. So we are going to embark on the cutting. So to cut this, I always like to cut on my lining. So once I finish cutting on my lining, I'm going to place my lining right on top. Okay, so I'm going to place my lining. So the lining I have here is also 3 yards. So I will go ahead to, okay, the lining is 2 yards, sorry, because it's going to take care of the down part alone, and is a pencil skirt with back slit. That is what we usually use for the wrapper illusion. So I'm going to set this aside and we are going to fold the lining into my hip circumference divided by 4. You add 2 inches to it. 2 inches is for seam allowance. So hip divide by 4 plus 2 inches. The hip I'm working with here is 48 and divide by 4 will give me 12. Then I'm going to add 2 inches to it, making it 14 inches. So you don't need to waste your fabric. Just go ahead and measure 14 inches. So this is where I have my 14 inches. And I'll just go ahead and fold it. So you just need 2 yards of lining. 2 yards is very okay. So hip is okay. Let me just fold it at 3 inches just to be at the safe side. Very safe side. So it's better you have an excess than you have a shortage. So I'm folding at 15. So we are going to cut the lining, the skirt piece first, then the remaining of whatever we have will now go to we are going to take it all over to the upper area. So if you don't cut your down part, you might not be able to minimize your fabric very well. So this is it. I'll just go ahead and secure with my pin as shown. So next, we'll begin to draft the skirts. The skirt drafting is very easy. Of course, you know, it's not something difficult. So for tutorial purpose, we are going to start everything. Alright, so after securing with your pin, next you are going to create a border line. So my border line is just 1 inch. This part is not good, so I'll take it off. Then you are going to place your tape on the waistline. We are making a wrapper illusion gown. So my waistline is 17. I'll place my tape at 17. You take your hip line. My hip line is 29. You count 1, 2 inches upwards. 27. That is the upper hip. Now your knee line, mine is 41. I'll go up with 1, 2, 3, 4. I like to go up with 4 inches. So that will enable you to walk very, very well in this case. So after marking 4 inches upwards, then you are going to take the length of your wrapper. So the length of a full wrapper is 60, but I'll add 1 inch. That's a full gown is 60. I'll add 1 inch, making it 61. So another thing I usually do is to, let me rule my lines across. I'll also show you another, if maybe you did not take the measurement of the full length. This is another way you can get your full length. If you place your tape on this point, assuming is your skirt, my normal skirt gives me, from the waistline, always give me 41 inches, and it's standard for everybody. So right here is the standard skirt. Now remember that we are taking this from the natural waist, not from the skirt waist. So that is why we have 44. So my normal skirt, if I'm making a skirt for myself, is usually at 41. But you know, it is from the navel point. So 1, 2, 3 inches, that is from the 17 inches we took. You know the natural waist is from 17, not from the navel point. So that is why we have 44. So that is just fine. You can take your measurement too. You can just make sure you take your measurement. But for me, my measurement, my full measurement of a gown is 60. So adding 1 inch is just for the hemming allowance. So we'll come back here to the waistline. On the waistline, I'm going to add my waist. My waist measurement measures 38 inches. That's my waist measurement on my natural waist. So 38 divided by 4 usually gives me 9.5. I'll mark the 9.5. I'll add 2 inches. 2 inches is for my seam allowance. Then I'll come to my waist. This is the lower waist. On the lower hip, sorry. On the lower hip, I'm going to mark my hip divided by 4, which is 12 inches. And I'll mark the both here. Once that is done, go ahead and connect a straight line this way. So this will help to control the waist area. Okay, so what we have here is divide by 12. Then add 2 inches. 2 inches is for seam allowance. Then I'm going to do this. I'll use my hip curve. You go this way. Can you see? You mark that part straight. Now you are going to take every measurement you have here. For me, every measurement I have here is 14. I'll take 2 inches away here. The 2 inches will land me at 12 inches. So I'll mark. You keep your ruler the other way from here and mark. Can you see? So that hip shape, we've gotten a very beautiful hip shape at that point. So now, after marking, I want to put a pin here too. So after marking that one, next we are going to do is to take everything we have here. The 12 inches is coming over to the hem immediately. So at that hem point, I'm going to mark 12 inches. I'm going to mark 12 inches. Then we are going to take a straight line all the way down. We'll move it all the way. So you just mark a straight line here, and this continues this way. So it's time for us to cut. Make sure you have everything intact. Okay. All right. So I'll go ahead to cut. So just put your pin on the inside, because by the time you cut now, everything goes out. I'll add half an inch here. This is to attach this dress to the upper area. Then I'll cut here. Alright, so this is it. And you place your notch at the center front area. So we are using this lining to cut the back. Note. So I'll set it aside and bring back my fabric again. So this time around, let me just fold it from the other end, because I have 2 yards of lining here. So the 2 yards will just do. So this one I'm going to fold it using my hip circumference. Instead of adding 2 inches, I'm going to add 5 inches to my hip circumference, because we have a lot of contouring for the back. So my hip is divided by 4 is 12, plus 5 will make it 17. So I will fold it at 17. So here is the 17. So you still see that we still have some more fabric out of the 2 yards. So 2 yards is enough for this, for the lining on the underside. So this is 17 inches, perfect. So right now we'll secure with our pins too. Very important. Always hold down with your pins to avoid seaming these discrepancies. All right. So the first thing we are going to do now is to mark out the zip line. So my zip line is usually at 1 inch. That's, you are going to consider if you are making a straight slit. Of course, I want to make a straight slit because that is what works perfectly for this. So I'm going to add 1 inch. That is my zip allowance. I'm going to mark 1 inch. Okay. Mark 1 inch. I'm marking it on the edges like this. So I'm stitching with a perfect inseam finishing. That's why I'm marking 1 inch. So if you are stitching on the other side, like you want your seams to show at the zipper line, but I don't like to do that, honestly. I like a well finished job. You can take 1.5 inches if you are turning your lining with your fabric. So after marking this 1 inch for your zip allowance, I'm going to place the center front at the zip allowance this way. So you can see how I'm placing it. I'll place it making sure it matches like this. Then I'm going to pin at the zip allowance this way on that line. So if you are making a slit, you are going to give, instead of giving 1 inch, you will give like 3 inches if you are making an overlapping slit for your skirt. But I want to make an open slit, so that's why I'm using 1 inch. So here you can see I've pinned it. So the next thing we'll begin to do is to extend our lines. The lines I'm going to extend are the waistline. I'm going to extend it on the back this way. The hip lines, you extend them this way. The knee line, you also do the same extension. And the full length line, you also extend. In fact, all the lines, we are extending them, and you are going to see why we are extending these lines. Now, next, we'll go ahead to measure the zip contour line. So there's always a contour line at the waistline, which is that 1 inch zipper contour, so that you have your zip relaxing very well. So you can say I mark inwards 1 inch. So when you mark inwards 1 inch, please replace it here. Replace the 1 inch at the side. That's why we extended the line. Now I'm going to open this. I'm going to take off the pin to show you the new way we are going to connect this. So I'll raise it up, and I'm going to connect it here to the hip. The hip line, we are not extending anything. So this is what I'm going to do. I will take it to the hip this way. Can you see? You connect it. So you see the bum illusion. Now, you come over here, and you are going to also take 1 inch. You go in by 1 inch to form the full bum illusion, and you replace it here by 1 inch. So anyone you go in with, please don't forget to replace. So I'll take off my pin completely. You place your ruler this way from the second one. You can see I'm connecting to the second hip. Can you see? So you can see the hip shape here. It goes all the way that way. Now, this 1 inch will run straight. Remember, it's a slit we are making here. So that slit will continue with 1 inch all the way down with 1 inch. So in other words, we are reconstructing this line. So this is it. You mark, you mark. Can you see that? You mark a straight line. So now, remember, we are going to add the zip allowance. I just want us to finish on the zip allowance area before we go to the replacement. So to add the zip allowance, is 1 inch we are adding. So you keep following the shape. So we already have the shape here. So what we are going to do is just this. I'll keep my ruler this way again to connect that shape this way. Can you see? Then once you come here, you also maintain the straight line. Then you place your ruler this way too. Can you see that? So that is it. Now, after that, I can pin again. Now, we will now come over here. we are going to cut through this line. Take note. So we are talking about the replacement on the sides, which we have marked. So you highlight here, highlight the hip line because nothing is replaced at that point. So all we are going to do now is to place our pattern ruler this way to that point we highlighted on the upper hip area. For here, you mark a straight line, and here you also do what? Mark a straight line. Mark a curved line, sorry. So when I drop this, if I drop this, this is what you are going to have. Can you see the replacements here? They are very, very obvious. So remember that here we took away 1 inch to inward. So to replace it here, or else you have a shortage. So I'll just go ahead and mark 1 inch from here. 1 inch, 1 inch. So the 1 inch will connect it straight like this. Can you see? So we'll connect it straight. So that is all though. The next we are going to do is to cut out, and that's all. We are done. Okay. So let me cut on the side first. So you raise here and cut here on the zip allowance. So this is it, and you will now make a notch at the 1 inch zipper line this way. So that will show at which point we are going to attach the zip. So I'm going to place this on my doll face and cut exactly. Okay, that's on the interlining, or the, let's call it the interlining. Okay, so I'm going to place it here the same way and cut the shiny part. So we'll begin to drop the upper bodies. Alright, so I've cut out the lining and the fabric for the back. So I use the lining as you can see here. So you are going to also place your zipper notch at the main fabric. So you can see the main fabric here. And for the front, this is what we have for the front here. So I'm going to also put this. Alright, to start off the drafting. So the drafting is just a simple skirt and blouse drafting. Okay, so I'm going to place my tape right here. I'll take the measurement of my chest line. My chest is 9 inches. My chest line is 9. My bust point is 10.5. My under bust is 14. Then the waistline is 17. So we are attaching everything straight to the dress. Later we can do our normal design later. So this is 9, sorry, 10.5, 14 and 17. So you are going to rule your lines across this way. So that's the bust point, and here is the under bust and the waistline. So this is the center front. We are drafting the front. Later we'll go over to the back. I'll place my tape here to measure my shoulder divide by 2. Mine is 7.5. 7.5. Then you are going to come down by 1 inch. The neck width, I will use 3 inches. That is the natural neckline. So later you can alter to your shape. But if you are using a mesh, of course I'm using a mesh at that point, so I will maintain the 3 inches. Okay, because mesh can drag or it can just go out of the way. So I'll just maintain 3 inches. It can expand. That's what I mean. So here I'll get the midpoint. Then I'll go in by 0.75 here for the front sleeve. You connect this way. I'm going to take my bust circumference divide by 4. Mine is 10 inches. I'll go ahead and connect the normal way we usually connect our armhole. So after that is done, because this is a sleeveless dress, I'm not going to make the armhole too big. I usually like to come by 1 inch upwards, because I'm not even if you're attaching a sleeve, and if the sleeve is a net sleeve, still come up by 1 inch. So in other words, what I'm doing is to redraw a new chest line. So here is a new chest line for me. So I'm doing or having a drop shoulder for this dress. So let us just finish with here, then we'll go in. We now go to the contouring. So from here, I'm going to measure 3.5 for the drop shoulder. And at that 3.5, you come down by 1.5 this way. If you want that drop shoulder to really hold your arm without having some gapings, you come down by 1.5. Now I'll place my pattern ruler this way. Can you see how I place the inner curve? So it curves very well this way. So with this, you will have a full grip on the hand, because the hand is falling or going down that way. So after that is done, we are going to connect this to this midpoint, or you can also decide to flip your ruler this way. You can see how I place my ruler. Your ruler can go in different directions. It depends on what you want, but me, I want to flip. I like to flip it this way. Okay, I like to flip it this way. All right, so let me see. I'm just trying to look at something different. So remember, this is the new armhole. So that means our armhole is going to come into here, no longer this. So we are taking this out of the way. So another thing you can do is to place your armhole this way and connect. So, but I don't want to dip it into. So if you don't want to eat into this, just go this way and connect it. You can come a little down this way. I just want there to maintain a straight line. Okay, so you don't have too much opening at that your armpit area. So that's what I actually did there. So now I'll go in with the smaller curve this way. So let's go in. This has to touch this note. So at this point, we have just a little on the armhole. So I'm just considering what we are going to have if this part connects to this part this way. So if we really step up, it means we might have some inconveniences at that point. So you can still maintain this, we can still maintain, but let us just finish. I will decide either to use the main armhole or the small armhole, because as I'm seeing it right here, it's looking small, which is okay, which is very okay. Okay, but if you don't want any inconvenience, you can connect to your main armhole, but I'm avoiding the wideness at that point. Or you can step up by half an inch too. So but let me finish the drafting. I'll conclude or check which to follow or to go with. All right, so the next we want to do is the neck depth. The neck depth I'm using 3 inches here, so I will just come down with my neck depth by 3.5. 3.5 is fine. I don't want the neckline too deep, so but you can just choose your appropriate neckline anyway. Okay, so I think I like what I have here. So let me label the line so you know what we are working with. This is the shoulder. Of course, you know my original chest line. This is the bust point, under bust, and this is the waistline. So right on the bust point, you are going to take your nipple to nipple measurement. Mine is 3.5. I'll take it here too, 3.5. I'll rule a straight line for my dart. So the dart intake is 1.5 on the dart line. So that means I'm going to give 0.75 here, and I will give another 0.75. So altogether I'll have 1.5 there. So the 1.5 is standard. Even if you're on a small size, it works very well. So after that, I'm going to impute the waist divided by 4. So my waist is 9, divided by 4 is 9.5. You add 1.5 inch of the dart you took. Then on the bust area, we've already taken bust divided by 4, and this is the line. So I'll just go ahead and do this. Connect from here to here. After doing that, we are going to mark the bust dart. The bust dart for me is 2 inches. I'll get the midline. Of course, you know how to go about the bust dart. I'll go this way, and I'll go this way. Connect this way and that way. All right, so this is it, and that is what we have now. So we are going to get the yoke line. I'm attaching the yoke. I'll place my tape here, and I'm going to mark my yoke line. Yoke standard line is 6 inches for everybody, 6 inches. So I'll mark my yoke line. Now I'm going to get the midpoint of what I have here. The midpoint here, this is it. I'll connect it all the way to this point as shown. Now you are going to determine what kind of neckline you want to give to this dress. If you want to make or create something like it depends on what you actually want in this case. If you want a sweetheart, you can just go ahead and take it from the yoke line to the sweetheart line. So sometimes you might decide to step down by how many inches you want, but for me, I always like to use my pattern ruler. So once I place it wherever I have a good yoke line, I go by it. So this yoke line I have here is fine, and it means I step down from that 6 inches by almost 2.5 inches more. So if it's too deep for you, I just want it that way, because I'm still going to bead on that line, so it's not going to expose anything for us right now. So the beading will just bead, give some fine decoration on the beading. All right, so this is it, and next I'm going to get the yoke contour line. We are still using 0.752. That is 0.75 here and 0.75 here. That is making it a total of 1.5, like we did on the under part. So I'll just go ahead and flip this way. I have contoured the yoke line. So this particular line, I'm thinking of blending it here. Let's just blend it so we don't need to replace anything and alter our sleeve area. So I can take it this way and have a little blending into the armhole like this, as shown. So it makes the yoke look fine and good. So if you are going with this line, you blend into this line. If you are coming downward, but me, I would like to go with this line because I don't want any unnecessary exposure at that point. Okay, the armpit area. So after sewing it, if there will be need for adjustment, I will know. So it's just fine and okay here. Okay, so it's just fine and okay, but we can still step down. So let me do this. Let me connect this to this point this way first. All right, so what I was saying is this: as we are coming down from this armhole, we can decide to do half an inch. So I think half an inch is, but 1 inch is too much. 1 inch is very too much at that point, so it's okay. So as this one is running into here, this is running into here, that is the yoke line. All right, now it's time to contour the under bust. You come over to the under bust. You are going to use the method I taught you, unless you have another method that works for you. So I'll place my tape here and I'm going to measure my under bust divide by 4. Mine is 35, which is 0.75. What do I have left here? I have 1.75 left. So I'm going to impute 1.25 and impute 1.5. So this is my 1. Let me do 1.25 so we don't have that too much space into the bust. So the total of what I have taken in the whole is 2.5. Okay, so I'll now go ahead and do what? And do this. I'll take it up this way. Make sure you place your pattern ruler straight. Don't bend it. If not, you give too much space on your bust area. Okay, you take it up. You can see how I'm placing the ruler. You make sure it's up this way. Then you connect back to the waistline as shown. All right, so that is it, and we are done with the front piece. So next we are going to do is to cut out. This is the center front. We label F1 and this is F2. So when we sew them now, we are going to join, every other thing accordingly. So I'm just thinking of, maybe you want to use some boning, that is to snatch the dress very well. So in the case of having a boning, you want to snatch and it's the tummy area, then that means we can go by extending this part downwards and we are going to bone it, but we'll still maintain the joining of our half length. So I'll show you how to go about it. So I just thought of it right now because some people might have tummy, some people who has big tummy. Once you wear the dress and snatch, it will help to control the tummy a little bit. So this is my waistline of 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do now is to add from that waistline. You are supposed to add like 5 more inches. 5 more inches to help cover that area very well. So let me just add my pepper so we can continue. So right now I extended my pepper so we can be able to go ahead to get the snatch effect on the tummy. This is just an additional process. So I just felt or thought of it now because some people with big tummy, they might find it difficult. So from your waistline, add on the 5 inches. 5 inches is usually the back line. So in case you want to create a back effect, I just thought of it, but it's not compulsory. So this is it. I've added it. So this will be the hip line now. So on the hip line, you measure your hip divide by 4. Mine is 12 inches. And I'll go ahead and connect from the waistline this way. So you can see I've gotten that hip line. So I want to step up by 1 inch. That's how we usually do it. So that part will not be, we'll just round up very well. So this is what is going to be at the inner part for the snatching of the tummy. Okay, so that means you are going to extend this way and extend this way. So when we are joining it, we'll join it just like we join our blouse. So from here, you have to start here. Can you see? Because I joined now, I'm going to start from that point. You can see how it's joined. So that is just the additional stuff I want to add here. So it's normal bust here, but we are making it longer, and we are going to place boning from the under bust area straight, just to hold the tummy area. So when we get there, you will see it. Don't worry. The next we want to do is to extend our lines for the back. So you extend the shoulder line. You are going to extend the chest line. For the waistline, we will come up by 2 inches because of the bust dart effect, bust dart technique. I'll come up by 2 inches. So that means my back is going to be a total of 15 inches, not 17 because of the bust dart. And that also means I'm going to, from the hip line, I'll also step up by 2 inches this way. So you just step up and mark. So in other words, from that original waistline on the back which you marked, you can mark 5 inches just to get a straight line, because the extension for the front is also 5 inches. I believe you understand this. So I'll just mark. That is for the back. So here is the center back. So the center back is going to have a zipper. It will also have a lacing on the inside. We are going to lace the inside. That's why I have to extend this line, so we can be able to snatch the back piece very well. So I'll come here and mark 7.5. That is my shoulder divided by 2. I'll mark it here again. You come down by 1 inch. You also mark 3 inches here for the neck width. The connection will go like this, from here to here and from here to here. So we'll get the midpoint as shown. Then for this, we'll go in by ½ inch. You are going to take your bust divide by 4. Mine is 10 inches. I'll mark it to complete the armhole this way. All right. So after completing the armhole, I will now come over to my waist. This is the waistline, remember, for the back. So waist divided by 4. I'll mark it here. Now we are going to have okay, after marking it, you now come in to mark your zip contour line. There's a zip contour line which is 1 inch. So that 1 inch, I'll connect it all the way down this way. All right, and connect it to nothing on the hip line this way. So this is the zip of the dress. This 1 inch, don't forget to replace it here. So I'll just go in and replace the 1 inch automatically. Then you connect from here to here. Okay, remember you cut off something here. So you just take what you cut off. That's about 1.5 and half inch, sorry, and a little thin. So you go ahead and connect it. Then you are going to take your waist, your hip divide by 4. Mine is 12 inches and I'll mark. So I'll go ahead and do this and connect this. So this connection, remember, we are going to have a lace, or let me say we are going to have the inner corset and we are going to have the upper dress. So the upper dress is going to maintain the half length for the back, okay, while the inside corset is going to take the full length. So let me show you how it works here. Don't worry, you will see how it's going to, we are going to cut it. So we are going to measure the corset back. From the center front, I'm going to take my corset back as 2.5 inches. So you mark your corset back 2.5. You can see we are marking it from the center back, not the contour line. From the center back, 2.5. So that 2.5, I'm going to take it all the way down this way. So here is my lace. That is my lace point. So this is the corset. This is the corset, while the dress is going to stop from here to here. So I'm going to trace it out. Then for the back, we might decide to, we have a zip running all the way down. So we can decide to make, I'm thinking of having a yoke on that area too. So it depends, but your zip can run all the way down. So at this point, here is the corset. This is the corset, okay? So all you are going to do is to trace it out. So you can see we measure the corset 2.5 inches. You can make it 3 inches if you want, but I think what we have here is okay. So now for the corset, it means the 1 inch zipper allowance, you are going to take it out, or else you have an excess. So before we trace out this corset, this 1 inch, take it out. All this contour line, we are going to take it out. So what it means is we are going to take our actual measurements. So this is what I mean by our actual measurements. This is what I mean. So this is my bust divided by 2, and this is my waist divided by 4, and this is my hip. So the connection for this corset back will go this way. I'm going to use broken lines. Then it will go this way. All right. So that is for the corset. So you go in by 1, the inner corset, you come up by 1 inch and connect this way. All right, so let's trace out and keep that part. So the corset is from here, this straight line, just to snag the inner part. So I'm going to trace it the normal way. So you just put your ruler there, your brown pattern paper, and you are going to get the points of the corset this way. So I think I saw so I'm going to use my ruler to trace that point like this. Don't allow your paper to shift. If it shifts, it's going to alter everything. Now you can now go ahead and trace, mark a straight line. So you can see the corset is out, and these are the where we are going to have our, so we'll call this the corset itself. So I'll cut it out, then I'll fit it in at that point too. So just go ahead, cut it out. So this is how it's going to fit in. Can you see? So it will be on the inside and we'll lace it. So it's going to work pari passu with what we have in front. So I will set this one aside. Now we'll come back to the back. So this is the whole back if you're making a normal back dress. But what I'm saying is we are going to cut from here. You understand? So we'll cut from the waist, normal waistline. The back will be the normal waistline, the way we usually draft. Now for the back dress, I want to make my back as deep as this. You can see how I place my ruler. So I did not really take any. This is how I want the yoke. So you can decide to pattern your yoke. We have different kinds, but I want my zipper to run all the way to the end. It's not stopping anywhere. So I want this part to be my mesh, and we are going to use the bead to decorate it. Our bead will flow into it that way. So the neckline, the neck depth is 1 inch, and I'll connect the neck depth this way. Can you see that? So this will be the yoke. So if you want, you can use them. You can clip on the yoke. That's, you can put buttons or hook. But I'm going to fix